Alright guys, what's going on? Mouse here, and welcome to another Simulation Gate video. Finally, regular season begins. Love the improvements compared to before. At least it's getting closer and closer to the roguelike dungeon that we want to see. I spent a lot of hours trying to collect the codes and check the collection and check the codes here, check the protocols, what has been updated to get more information about what has changed and how we can adjust to it. So before we talk about the specific lineups or the clear guides and such, I want to discuss this first because this is important so that you won't fail your runs in the future. You're gonna need this, lots of meta changes here that you should know about. Firstly, let's talk about the collection because this is something that we have ignored in the past for the most part because we actually don't have much data fragments back then to spare on these things. But since there were adjustments on the amount of data fragments that you can use, for example, once you start the game, you'll immediately get 200 data fragments and the cost of reroll of code is now only 50. And then once you get a duplicate after the legendary, you get 500. The cost of facility use is also now much less. For example, upgrading a code will only cost you 200 fragments. So yeah, in short, we have lots of data fragments now. So you can get these collection from the system maintenance, and the gold ones are 500 fragments and the purple ones cost 300 fragments and the blue ones are 100 fragments. So let me just show you guys these so that you can familiarize yourself on what you can do and what you can use as well. Some of these could be game changing. So for example, this fake hunter ID applies only to mage and ranger. You can check your hunter's roles here. You can click the icon. See here, wind tank, wind assassin, Mireille. We have ranger. Isil is a ranger. Jaina is a mage. Suyun is a mage. Okay, yeah, and Charlotte is also a mage. So a lot of the units that we are using in Simulation Gate will benefit from that. Skill cooldown decreases by 30%. And if it stacks with the boosting protocol, for example, boosting cooldown up to 35%. I'm not sure if that stacks, I haven't tried it yet. Then you might be able to reduce your cooldown a lot. We also have S-Rank Hunter record 50% attack, defense, and HP. This is also for mage and fighter. We usually don't want these percent anymore, especially for those with lots of dimensional advancements and percent buff. There might be some use cases here. I don't know, but just know that these things exist. Just in case, for example, you don't have any codes yet that you can use, then you can purchase this. And another one is Perfect Encryption Board, which is for ranger and fighter. Critical hit rate increases by 30%. Ranger and fighter. Let's just check who are the rangers and the fighters. So Isil, problem is we don't use Isil that much as DPS, but we do have here Thomas, Andre, light fighter. So yeah, that 30% crit rate is huge, especially right now, like the monsters at tier 30 or around 100 level 120 or something. Your crit rate stat is going to be heavily penalized, and you have the option to use the codes, like for example the core attack critical hit effect, which ensures that your core attack will land the crit. However, when it comes to the basic skills or the boosting, we don't have anything related to crit rates here. In that regard, that could help out as well. And we have another one here which is very huge. Mage and fighter core attack, basic skills, and ultimate skills increase by 70%. Well, for Thomas Andre, this is going to be huge because Thomas Andre uses core attack, basic skills, and ultimate skills. And Eternal Beauty grants super armor after ultimate skill. I'm not sure if this is even useful. Personally, usually don't need this because most of the units that we use already have super armor. And we have here tank and ranger. Look at this. When the user successfully puts an enemy in a break state, the duration of the break increases by 10 fucking seconds. I haven't tried this yet, but the way it sounds, like 10 more seconds on the break state, that's gonna be crazy. And we also have really good stuff here. This one is for mage and tank. When the user attacks, it increases the target's damage taken by 30%. So it's like adding a double the amount of punishment of mean. This is a debuff, by the way. Already tried this, so you can use this, and then your DPS might be an assassin or a fighter, then you can take advantage of that. Chest of Souls, healer and fighter. Users HP is 30% or below, they recover 70% of their HP. Probably would not want to spend on that. Assassin and mage, damage dealt increases by 30%. This might be something that you might want to get as well, but I think you should still prioritize your legendary codes to activate all those OP protocols. But if you don't have any choice, this one is a good option as well. A Sweet Jelly Healer and Tank MP recovery rate increased by 50%. Probably useless. Kamishi Game Console, break damage increased by 25%. Biometric Capsule, damage dealt to bosses increased by 30%. So Stopwatch, Mage Assassin, Elemental Weakness. Damage increase, Assassin and Fighter, more damage. So this one is, I think, something that you might want to consider as well. Assassin and Mage, when user has 50% of their MP, damage dealt increases by 40%, and it costs only 300 data fragment. And then damage that the user deals with the attack that apply the break effect increases by 30% for Tank and Ranger. And Perfect Tool, Ranger and Fighter, user's defense penetration increases by 20%. So Ranger, Isil, defense penetration, that's okay. However, Isil is not DPS, so we probably not a big deal. But we have Thomas, Andre, and Chahe in, and we also have in the codes for the basic skill, ignore defense. So assuming this is similar to defense penetration, it might be a good option as well. So that's just a possibility. Haven't tried that personally. So meaningless metal for tanking, fragmented stone for healer and tank. Usually we don't need this. Perfect gamble, I think we were using this before already. 85% chance to deal HP based damage, but at the same time it will also have 15% chance to reduce your HP. But if you have healer, that's totally fine. 50% critical hit damage straight up for assassin and fighter, just 100 fragments. So you might be able to encounter one of these. Mana consumption, mage and healer, usually we don't need that. User shield acquisition chance by 30%. Actually, this will be a very good option for Thomas Andre. Ice Slayers, user's speed 20%. Haven't tried this. I'm curious how fast we will be once we get that speed increase 20%. Power gauge acquisition here, 10%. And then hidden intellect will add some shields, but only for mage and healers. So yeah, those are some of the potential collections that you can add up to your builds while playing Simulation Gate. Now let's talk about the codes. We do have some changes, and we do have new categories of codes like upscaling and multithread. Let's discuss that as well. But first, let's start with some of the changes that happened here, because a lot of these codes damage has been increased, and that's why even if there is already like a tier 30 here, because the codes damage were buffed, it's still possible to clear them, meaning the game mode now is also more heavily based upon the code's choice. So that's why it's very important to learn this and be familiar as much as you can with all the possible codes that you might be able to take advantage of. All right, so let's start with the biggest changes are in overclock in terms of damage output. So for example, this critical hit effect, this was 60% only, and now it's 150%. So your ultimate damage bonus from 60% now to 150% at legendary. We also have the reset here, which is formerly 75%, now 100% chance to reset or reactivate your ultimate skill. But there is a cooldown now with a 10 seconds cooldown, but ultimate skill damage as well, 60% now from 30%. So the stun, however, they already added the cooldown here, 10 seconds cooldown. So now it's not going to be possible to do the perma stun. We also have effect upon entry, 100% power gauge now. But the big thing here, big change from the damage proportional to current HP. Before this was like 15% chance to deal 25% of the target's current HP. Now it has 100% chance, but it will only deal 5% of their current HP. So this will be extremely useful. For example, if you're using a unit that has continuous ultimate damage like Kanae, for example, this is gonna be very big, as well as other ult-based units or lineups like the Dark Team. Probably Isil, haven't tried it personally, but probably will work on Isil's ultimate just like before. So there's gonna be a big change on the meta on what builds are gonna be favored here in the Simulation Gate. Apart from that, we also have like slight improvements on other codes, like the damage dealt now 25%. This was 15% before. So meaning like a lot of these have improved damage, even the elements. Example, this one 45%, this was 30% if I remember correctly. Now let's check out the new code categories, upscaling and multi-thread. So upscaling is a code that is going to be procced by dash. When you dash, you get attack, defense, HP 15%. If you're successful in the extreme evasion, you get another 15% stacking up to 3 times. So all of these are pretty much similar. This one will give you crit rate, this one will give you crit damage, basics, skill cooldown, ultimate skill cooldown as well, and dash enhancement. And for the multi-thread, it is related to QTE. So with this, every time you do a QTE, you'll get a stats boost attack, crit rate, critical hit damage. So there are a lot of units that can potentially benefit from it, and we're gonna encounter them as we play the Simulation Gate over the coming weeks. And lastly, for their protocols, it's also similar to the elemental protocol. You only need one code and you just upgrade them up to legendary. That's gonna be it for this video. Hope this information helped. Hope this at least give you some information that can help you with your gameplay in Simulation Gate, and stay tuned for my Simulation Gate gameplay video. Thanks so much. See you on the next one.